It says it's still preparing. Oh, it says it's live. Good afternoon, folks. This is Melissa Schwartz. I'm with the United Parent Council with PV Schools. And this afternoon, we have Koni Withers, who is our lead counselor in the district, as well as the head counselor for PV Online. So Koni, let's let you take it away and help all of us with middle schoolers heading to high school and those with elementary kids heading into middle school. Help us figure out what we need to do for our kids.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I am Koni Withers. I am, like Melissa said, I am one of the district lead counselors, and I am also a counselor at PV Online, which, in case you don't know, is actually a K-12 program in our district. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about transitions from elementary to middle school and transitions from middle school to high school. I have been in the district for over 20 years. I don't want to age myself too much, but I was an elementary teacher for half of my career, and then half of my career has been in high school. And I've been the lead district counselor for 6 years. Now, to be completely transparent, I've actually never been in middle school. However, in preparation for this presentation today, I actually had many conversations with the middle school counselors across our district, and felt like I pulled information of what they see and what they feel could really help our kids. I'm married to a elementary principal, and between the two of us, we have 4 kids and 7 grandkids, and so I feel like I've had some experience over the years, and I know every experience is different. Every child is different. Every child has their strengths, and hopefully I can highlight some of those strengths. And I feel like this is very important today and right now, because I am very aware that COVID and the lockdown and all the things that have happened over this last year have affected our children, and there is no getting around that. And I'm really hoping I can give you all some positive hope and knowledge to carry you forward, and so you don't feel like you are alone, because we all are going through this together. We know a lot about transitions now, so hopefully this helps. So I'm going to kind of start with the elementary to middle school, and then I'm going to go to middle school to high school. But even if you are a 6th grade parent on here today wanting to know about middle school, you may want to hang out and from the middle school to high school things, the transition part as well, because there are some things that I'm going to be talking about that your children can actually do in middle school that may affect them in high school. So I'm just giving you a little heads up there. Let's go ahead and get started. Oops, sorry. The first and most important thing I thought we should discuss is what middle school or high school is best. Luckily, we live in a district that your child can actually choose what school they want to go to. They can go to their neighborhood school, but they can actually choose another school. What I always say is, of course, your child is going to want to go to the school where their friends are. And that's great. We want the students to have those experiences with building relationships and having those circle of friends. However, you also need to think about what school is best for your child. Do you have an ability to be able to pick them up daily? If they're not in the neighborhood school, transportation is not provided. But what is your child's primary interest? If they have a primary interest in, say, theater arts, you may want to put your child at Shea Middle School and Shadow Mountain in their their NVAA program versus maybe your neighborhood school. Open enrollment actually does happen in December, January. Actually, it's maybe even earlier than that. But October, November, December probably is when open enrollment is for the district. However, if you do want to choose a different school, you can actually make those choices. It's just, it goes, instead of going through district, you would have to go through the school that you actually want your child to go to. So it's just something I wanted to bring up right away at the beginning, is that, we have a lot of really, really great schools, and finding the right school for your child is probably one of the most important things you can do as a parent. I had two daughters that went through Paradise Valley schools, and we kind of lived in the same area the whole time. One daughter went to one high school, the other daughter went to another high school. Just didn't want, they were different kids, and so and I don't feel like that's a bad thing. It's especially important now because there are so many more choices. Because of the COVID and the lockdown, we have actually created a new school over this last year, which I think is very exciting. It is PV Connect. It will probably be called something different next year, but we are offering it as a district for our K-12 students. And I wish I had all the details and what it was going to look like, but we're still developing it. This provides our students with even more opportunities. Maybe your child has found that they really like being online. Then, PV Connect provides them an additional opportunity. PV Online, a lot of students didn't actually know that that was a thing that we had until this year. We do have a K-12 PV Online program. They're different, but yet they offer our students so many opportunities. And so it's just very important to really, truly think about this and make a good decision for your child. Now we're going to talk about the nitty-gritty stuff. We have, you hear people say, oh, middle schoolers, oh, ninth graders, they're just, these are all normal adolescent milestones. You will see, if you go to an assembly of in a elementary school, let's just say the end of the year celebration at your elementary school, and then you go to a middle school assembly for whatever reason, you won't believe the difference of students. You will have some students that look tiny, and you'll have some students with facial hair, and the amount of growth that happens between the 6th grade year and the 9th grade year is unbelievable. They're having a lot of hormones. Puberty is a big thing. But they also start changing their thinking. Up until adolescence, they are very concrete thinkers. In adolescence, they do start thinking a little bit more abstract and starting to think for themselves. And sometimes that is intimidating or scary for parents. They're all about relationships and creating new relationships. Some of these relationships are positive, some may not be as positive. And so it's very important as parents to make sure that we are making sure we know about the students and their relationships and their friends and who they're hanging out with, to help them and guide them with building these new relationships and making sure that they are healthy. They start developing these self-concepts about themselves and, how things work, how they view the world. And of course, their attitudes and values may improve or it may get worse, depending on the child. We have noticed that some of these things, due to the pandemic, have actually increased. They're also now have fears that maybe they didn't have before. They had no reason to have fears, but now they do have fears. They're uncertain. We as adults have fears. So of course our children are also going to have fears about, well, what's going to happen next? Am I going to be able to graduate from high school, or am I going to be like the class 2020 and didn't even get a graduation? What's the point of this if we're going to just be locked down? There's definite thoughts, and in a developing brain, those thoughts can actually turn very negative very quickly without the appropriate guidance. So what do you, parents of these middle schoolers, need to know? And honestly, this is probably for parents of all grade levels and all, even my adult children. I feel like sometimes these are still real things. Your child is changing, and so is your relationship. Our job as parents is to help our kids to not need us, as hard as that is, by cultivating self-sufficient young adults who have character, coping skills, and a strong work ethic. When my kids were in middle school, the thought of them not ever needing me, it was devastating. I couldn't handle that thought. But as they grew up, I realized that I wanted employed, independent, self-reliant, self-sufficient adults. We don't get that without letting them have some freedom and learn who they are and develop these skills. Your middle schooler still needs your voice and presence in their life. You need to create open and safe lines of communication, show affection, and stay involved. You may or may not have had these experiences yet where your kid says, leave me alone. I'm not going to talk to you about this. Do you have to hug me do you have to hug me in public, really? But the reality is they need you. They need the guidance and protection, but they also need the opportunities to make decisions, handle conflicts, and grow independently. This might mean making mistakes. And instead of considering it, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how badly you messed up, maybe change all of our mindset and making that a growth opportunity, not a mistake. It's a growth opportunity. Help them to work through those growth opportunities and rise to the challenges. Provide them natural consequences. Treat them like that, this is an adult decision you made, and now you have an adult consequence. And do that in the safety of your home, in the safety with you as the parent, so that they know that there are consequences for things that happen. And it will make it a lot easier if they make consequences when they're adults. But you don't totally want to become hands-off, no matter if they tell you over and over again that they do not want you. You don't need to worry about that. They do need you to worry about that. They do need to know that you care, because nobody cares for their well-being like you do. They need to know that. They need to feel that. They need to see that. Like your middle schooler, you will face peer pressure, the pressure to parent like everyone else. We've all been through that. We are the one parent who won't let our kids go to that party that all their friends are going to. And I hate you. I can't believe you're doing this to me. You're ruining my life. All of those things. None of us are going to agree on everything, and that includes parenting. That's okay. We can all be unique in our parenting style. You need to trust your gut and parent the way you feel is right. Today's schools want proactive middle schoolers. They foster independence by asking parents to be involved as little as possible. We want to prepare your child for the road, not the road for your child. It's not when teachers are asking for the students to be to reach out to them and, kind of having the parents step away, it's not because we don't want the parents involved. It's because the students need to start learning these life skills. They might be so scared at the beginning, and you may have to help navigate that road for them. However, once they have developed that relationship with that teacher or that adult that they may feel intimidated about, they will start growing their independence and their self-worth, and it will help them not only in middle school, but it will help them in high school. And once they go to college, the colleges won't talk to you no matter what. So it not only helps them, but it helps us. It helps prepare our heart for the fact that our kids won't always need us. And if we do that a little bit each year to help them foster that independence, it will make everybody's life easier when they have to go on to college and you don't get to have as much of an active part of their life. Stress and anxiety are huge issues for teenagers today. It's more now than ever. Helping your child develop healthy coping skills is essential. Allow mistakes and provide natural consequences. I think part of the stress and anxiety right now is because of the fear of the unknown. But stress and anxiety can also be caused by pressure that we as parents put on our children. Maybe not on purpose, but we do. We want them to, take the most classes they can. We want them to be in, the best school. We want them to be, in everything. We want to keep them busy so that they don't make bad mistakes. The problem with that is if our children can't do it all, they feel like they have disappointed their biggest cheerleader in their whole life, and that causes a huge amount of stress and anxiety in our children. So that keeping that communication open and making sure that you have conversations with your children about, what do they feel like they can handle? Pushing them, but not pushing them to the breaking point where they just feel like no matter what they do, it's not enough. We'll talk a little bit more about that as this presentation goes on, but we're seeing that more and more, and it's okay if our students are taking regular 6th grade classes and regular 7th grade classes and regular 8th grade classes, or if we have our honors kids in a gifted program because that's where they should be, or we want our child to take some academically rigorous classes, but we don't say you have to take all of your classes honors or AP. Which classes do you feel you could be successful in? That's where I feel it helps having that communication with the students to make sure we are not putting too many of our own pressures on our kids. Every middle schooler has the potential to be an awesome adult. They want someone who believes in them and loves them exactly who they are today. They might be different. They may be different tomorrow, but the more you say, I'm really proud of you. I love who you're becoming. And even not only being that general, but I love when I see you emailing your teacher on your own. That's amazing. That took a lot of courage, and I'm so proud of you. They still have emotional needs, no matter how grown up and self-sufficient they appear. Express your love and affection. Give them opportunities to be heard, loved, and valued. And the reason I feel like this is so important is because sometimes I feel like a lot of the anxiety with the transitions are because we as parents don't really know what to expect. We don't know what to expect from our children, and we don't know what to expect from the new school. So here's some suggestions of how you can support your 7th grader. Your, little elementary kids are going into 7th grade. It's a big, big, crazy world. What all of the counselors in the middle school have said is that the only big difference is that they go from having one teacher primarily to multi-teachers, and they have to move classes. Other than that, a lot of the routines, the similarities between even 6th grade and 7th grade are the same. The teachers are still going to take an interest in your child. Just because they have another class every hour does not mean that the middle school teachers do not take an active part in learning about your child and where they are, which is actually a very great thing with the pandemic, because I know a lot of parents have quite a bit of anxiety about, maybe my child is behind. What if they're not ready academically for middle school? The reality to that is all of the children are in the same place. All of our students, K-12, are at that place where the teachers are going to engage at the very beginning of the next year and make sure that all the students have gotten all of the things they need to be successful in their course. Our curriculum department has been working relentlessly on making sure that the essential standards have been covered in each course, and then how we're going to review those essential standards at the beginning of the next school year. So you can kind of take a deep breath about that. We're going to help our kids get caught up if you feel like your child has fallen behind. Of course, that will involve some communication from you and your child and working with the teacher. But that is coming. And I just wanted to reassure everyone that, that is something you should expect at the beginning of next year, no matter what school, no matter what program your child is involved in. Encourage your child to take academically rigorous courses. Now, like I said before, they don't have to be all academically rigorous, but we don't want our children to become complacent either. The more academically rigorous courses we take, the more it prepares our children for the college level courses. It also helps them learn better. If we just always are putting our students in courses that they can easily do, they don't learn those study skills. They don't learn those good habits of how to be a good student. So we want to always make sure your child is taking the most academically rigorous course they can take. That might be one course, that might be 3 courses. Maybe it's a whole program where that's, all honors and AP classes. It all depends on your child. Each child is unique. Teach your child good study habits and establish a routine, even though they're in 7th grade and they need, 12 hours of sleep. It doesn't mean that they don't need routines. They need to have solid routines all the time. It definitely would help a middle school student to have a routine that they understand, they know that is how it's going to happen. Whether that means, they come home, they get to have a snack, they get to play video games, watch TV, do whatever for a little bit, and then start their homework, or whatever works in your family, great. Establish that routine and stick to it. And that's probably the hardest part, is sticking to it, because life comes up and things happen. So, study habits are important. And, homework, sometimes the teachers don't grade the homework, but the reality is students still do need the practice of doing that homework, and it does help them learn study habits. And time management, and all the things of being a good student. And so, homework has its good and bad points, but if you look at the positive side of homework, it does teach them routines. Teach resilience to your child. Things are going to knock them down, and what are some ways to motivate them to get back up? And when bad things happen, this is how we overcome it as a family. This is what you can do. Yes, some kids might say mean things in middle school. What are some ways that you could react to that? Make your child advocate for themselves. You want to stay involved. You want to go to those parent-teacher conferences. You want to, email the teacher if you have some very big concerns. You're going to want to email the counselor if you're feeling like your child is, having major anxiety or is really struggling with something. You want to communicate that so that they can get the help at the school that they need. But you want your child to start asking them, ask what they want. Help them get organized and stay organized throughout the school year. Unfortunately, with 7th graders, that's really hard. That is not part of their brain structure. And so you will have to help with that. Their backpacks might get so full by November, they can hardly fit anything in it. The more organized they are, that will, and that they come up with an organizational system that works for them. It could be digital, it could be on paper, but they need to start writing things down because they can't remember everything in every class. If they have a class at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's really hard to remember at 4 o'clock in the afternoon what they were supposed to do for that 8 o'clock class. So help them get organized and stay organized all throughout the school year. Attendance matters. It is the #1 predictor of success. Even online, if they're there and engaged, it just shows that learning is important to them. It has changed. Obviously, like getting up, before we were always like, oh, you've got to get up and, get ready and be ready for school and get up to school on time. I think we have all learned that over this last year, yes, we need to get up and do our thing. But, it's okay if we're not perfect. It's okay if as long as we show up. And when we show up, we're there and we're involved and we are there to learn. I think we need to change our mindset a little bit on that. Is not only being there is important, but being there and being engaged. So just something to think about. Make your child check their grades and email on a regular basis. In 7th grade, this becomes more and more important. And in high school, it's vital. And so the more they get used to that, the better it will be for them. When they check their grades, it's, if they're hiding their grades from you, there's probably a reason. And so, don't punish them for their grades. How can you improve it? Keep changing that mindset of, okay, that looks like that was a struggle. So, would now be a good time to for you to email your teacher, or, are you not doing your homework? And have your child evaluate why their grades might be what they are, and help them navigate that. Start thinking about career interest and exposing them to possible careers. And I know you might be going, wait, only 7th grade. I don't know what my kid wants to do. And, when they graduate from high school, that's crazy. However, in our high schools and even in our middle schools, we have career opportunities for our students. And the more they become in tuned or interested in a career, we can provide those students with those career interests and expose them to those careers and the education they need for those careers in high school. And so the earlier they start thinking about that, the better it is. We want you to encourage involvement in clubs, sports, and activities. The more a child is involved in a club, sport, or activity, the better they are academically in their courses. The reason for that is in their classes, they're there to learn. There's not a lot of social aspect involved in a course. The students become socially involved by being active in club, sports, or activities with students that have the same interests as they do. For example, if they are in volleyball, you would think that all the students who are interested in volleyball are all out for the same sport. And that's how they develop their true friend group, that the students with like-minded interests. And so involvement in those club, sports, or activities is really important. And it is sometimes really hard to get especially middle school students involved. They don't feel like they belong. They don't feel like they know enough about that to be good at it. The reality is being involved teaches them that confidence, gives them that opportunity to learn something new. And most of the time, they're not the only ones that don't maybe know a lot about that club, sport, or activity. It's okay. They learn together. Ask leading questions, such as, instead of saying, "Why are you doing that?" You could ask, "What is going on?" Or instead of saying, "Why'd you do that?" Or "What are you doing?" You know, maybe instead of, "Why are you choosing that?" as an option. And so, you know, it depends on how you word it, but why and not can both be used in a negative way and a positive way. So just make sure when you are asking questions, you're asking them in the positive way. If you're automatically threatening your child and, you know, "Why are your grades so terrible?" They're not going to open up about their grades. But if you say, you know, what has caused this, you know, what has caused this grade to go down? You know, I see that you have a 0 here. You know, can you explain that to me? And let the child verbalize what happened. And oftentimes then they take responsibility for things, and we don't have to really even get involved because they understand the importance. And all of the counselors in the middle school, what they said most is to make sure that the students connect with their counselor. Encourage them to connect with their middle school counselors. Every single middle school has 1, if not 2 counselors, and it goes by alphabet or grade level, depending on the school. And those counselors are so amazing as far as just, you know, really wanting to build those relationships with those 7th and 8th grade with the 7th and 8th grade students. So make sure that they connect with that counselor, even if there's nothing wrong. That's okay. You know, that we are advocates for the student. And so it's a positive relationship that they can start building. Middle school schedule. This is something that's going to be different than in elementary. Of course, in elementary, you still have English, math, science, and social studies, but these will be separate classes. The student will take English or possibly honors English. They'll take a math, depending on their math level. They will take a science, and there will be a different science both in 7th and 8th grade, and then there will be a different social studies in 7th and 8th grade. Students take PE and 2 other electives. Most of our middle schools offer world language, some sort of culinary or career program, arts, computers. Those are some of the electives that the middle schools offer. You have probably, if you're going into a middle school, your counselor, your child has already enrolled in the courses that they're going to take at that middle school. It doesn't mean if they have found something else that they're interested in that you couldn't communicate with that middle school counselor to see if that could be changed. But that is a middle school schedule. And those classes might be at different times throughout the day. They might not be in the class with their best friend. They might not be in any classes with their best friend. However, there's still time at lunch and in between classes, and hopefully in their electives that they can either see their best friends or have an opportunity to meet new students with like interests. So moving on to high school, the transition to high school, what do you need to know? And I remember how scary this was, and 10 years of I've been in high school, and it's still that little heart palpitations start the day or two before school starts. It does feel scary, but honestly, high school is just a bigger version of middle school. The students they go to all different classes all through the high school. They have a lot more opportunities for different classes, different electives, many more club sports and activities for them to get involved in, and just fun. It should just be a fun opportunity for our students. And that's why a lot of students have been so sad over the last couple of years, because they haven't been able to have the fun. They haven't had those interactions. They haven't had prom. They haven't had all the things that make high school fun. So graduation requirements. All high school students need to have 4 years of English. And at our district, we call freshman English, English 1-2, sophomore English, English 3-4, junior English, English 5-6, and senior English, English 7-8. So if you see those numbers and you're like, what does that mean? It just means the different grades and what English level that your child is in. If they are in honors or AP, it just has that name in front of it. So it's honors English 1-2, or as juniors and seniors, it could be AP English 5-6 or AP English 7-8. They need 4 years of math up to pre-calculus. Now, I know there's probably a lot of people on here who have middle school students that are currently in a high school math class. I'm going to talk about that for sure. There's going to be quite a long conversation about that and what that means in high school. But a graduation requirement is that a student needs 4 years of math up to pre-calculus. There's also topics of college algebra, which is between the algebra 3-4 and the pre-calculus, or it's between those two levels, and that is actually a college level course as well. They need 3 years of a different lab science. The different lab sciences mean for university admission. It's not for graduation. So what that means is, for example, environmental science is similar to earth science. That would be considered the same lab science. And so if you want your child to go to a university, they would not, well, you wouldn't want them to take, let's just say, astronomy and geology and earth science. You would want them to take maybe the earth science, biology, and chemistry, or biology, chemistry, physics. You just want them to be in different lab sciences. 3 years of social studies, world history, American history, and government econ. Most of our schools have social studies starting during their sophomore year. So in their freshman year, they would not be signed up for a social studies class. For the college, they look at the American history grade, but they actually only look at 2 years of social studies. And I'll get into that a little bit later too. They need 1 year of a CTE or a fine art. Either one works. A CTE is a career technical education, and a fine art would be more of the band, choir, strings, or fine art projects. And then they need 1 year of PE. And so it's a half a year of PE and a half a year of life concepts. Life concepts covers the health component. Now, I'm going to break some great big news here. Our district has just approved that if your child is in marching band or a show choir or ROTC at Shadow Mountain, our district is going to count those activities as their 0.5 PE credit. So that means they would earn, so let's just say I had a freshman who was in marching band, and they had a full schedule, but marching band was one of their classes. They actually could count that marching band half a credit, would normally be considered a fine art or a elective credit. It can actually count for that PE credit starting this year and moving on, or next year, moving on. They still would have to take the life concepts. So the life concepts can be done in summer school. It can be done through PV Online. There's a lot of different options to earn the life concepts credit, but make sure if that is something that your child is interested is doing, if they're doing marching band or if they're in ROTC, make sure you talk to your child's high school counselor, and they don't have to do the PE actually in a class. They can get it in different ways. So that's very exciting. And we're happy that our district is open to allowing students to have these other opportunities and still earn the PE credit. And then all students need 6 elective credits, except Paradise Valley High School. Paradise Valley High School is on a block schedule, so they actually need 7 electives. All of our traditional schools need 22 credits. Paradise Valley requires 23 credits. And because of the block, the Paradise Valley can earn additional credits due throughout the school year. So that's why they need more credits. Okay. I did a presentation last month about high school. So if you have more interest in what's this about, what colleges are looking for, and all of that information, go to the UPC page, YouTube page, I believe, and you will find out, we covered all of the high school graduation requirements and college requirements and all of that in that presentation. And so that could be helpful if that's kind of the information you're looking for. Okay, so middle school to high school math, I brought this up. Our high schools, the lowest level of high school math we offer is Algebra 1-2. We do not have an honors Algebra 1-2. We have, some of the schools have what's called accelerated Algebra 1-2, but it does not have honors weight. Okay, if your child takes Algebra 1-2 or honors Geometry 1-2 or Geometry 1-2 in middle school, they can actually earn high school credit for taking those classes in middle school. If they have taken them, let's just say they've taken Algebra 1-2 as a 7th grader, and they've taken Honors Geometry 1-2 as an 8th grader. When they are freshmen in high school, they would be taking Honors Algebra 3-4. But let's just say they got B's or C's or even worse in those classes in middle school. You have until the end of your child's freshman year to opt out of having them count on your child's high school transcript. So what that means is, let's say they're in honors geometry right now, or let's say they're in algebra 1-2 right now, and they're doing okay through all of this. They're maybe getting a C. You can have them in 9th grade. You can have them take algebra 1-2 again, maybe hoping that they get the concepts again, and then that algebra 1-2 grade would not count in the middle school. Or if you say, you know what, you got it good enough, so I'm going to put you in algebra 1-2 when you start as a freshman. That's okay, but then you may want to get that algebra 1-2 grade off of their transcript. The counselors in the high school will talk to your child about that option, and there will be a form available in the registrar's office. So if you are a current 8th grade parent and your child is in algebra 1-2 or geometry 1-2 and maybe not doing so great right now, don't panic, because it will be on their high school transcript, but there is a way to opt out of having it on the high school transcript once they're in high school. The thing that I really want you to know is that you can only do that during your child's freshman year. So if you just forget about it and they get to their senior year and then you want it removed, we can't remove it that late. Of course, the transcript is an official record. We can't make modifications to it, but this is one of the modifications we are able to make. But consider that taking high school math classes in middle school, I wrote that wrong. Taking high school math classes in middle school does not exempt them from taking 4 years of math. Colleges do want to see 4 years of math in high school. So if your child is taking algebra 1-2 as a 7th grader and honors geometry as an 8th grader, that means they will start in high school taking honors algebra 3-4, and then they may have to take topics of college algebra, and then they may have to take pre-cal 1-2, and then they may have to take AP calculus, AB or BC. So they will still have to take 4 years of math, unless they're not going to college. And then we can use the middle school math credits for graduation. But we would hope that if a student is advanced in math, that they continue with the 4 years of math. So I hope that makes sense. And of course, at the end, I will answer any questions. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer the questions. All of your high school counselors know about this. and so it may seem very confusing to you, but we will do everything in our power to communicate this to you during your child's freshman year to make sure that you're making the right choice. The other thing to consider is the GPA. So let's say they've taken algebra 1-2 in 7th grade, and they're taking honors geometry 1-2 in 8th grade. You may not want to count the algebra 1-2 and start only counting the honors geometry 1-2, because that is on a 5.0 scale. So then they could take all 5.0 maths through high school level. So it's just things to consider. I will help answer questions on that, but also all of the high school counselors also are they understand how this all works. So then what classes? The students are in freshman year, they take English, they take a math, and they take science, and then typically we have our freshmen take their PE and life concepts. But some students are involved in other programs such as band or ROTC, or they want to take their foreign language. Those are all electives available in high school, which is very fun. Electives cover all classes that are not considered core classes. Any extra math, science, or social studies classes, such as AVID, psychology, weight training, all of those things actually can count for elective credit as well. Colleges require 2 years of a world language. It is not a graduation requirement. Students do not have to take Spanish or French or whatever they want to take for a graduation requirement. Now, I know there's also a question about world languages, and a lot of students are actually taking world languages in middle school. That actually does not go on the high school transcript like math does. However, we will put the student into the equivalent course as a freshman. So if they are taking Spanish 1-2 as an 8th grader, we will make sure that they are in Spanish 3-4 as a freshman. And then they can take Spanish 3-4 and Spanish 5-6 in the high school level and have their 2 years of equivalency for college. Of course, we have programs where the students can take 4 years of world language. We do have a test out program, and they can actually get a seal of biliteracy if they have taken 4 years of a world language, and they can pass the test, either the AP test in that language, or we call it an Apple test in that language. They can get a seal of biliteracy, meaning that they are biliterate in that language and in English, and that can go on their high school transcript and on their diploma. So it's kind of a fun thing to look forward to if they are really interested in languages. CTE, we have career and technical education. Each high school has CTE offerings. Some include culinary, early childhood education, and business. But all of our students can attend StarTech. StarTech is at Paradise Valley High School. Students can be bused from their high school to StarTech for programs such as fashion design, auto technology, welding, woodworking, sound engineering, graphic design, precision manufacturing, and so much more. Many of you have maybe heard of the CREST program at Paradise Valley High School. That is a specialty program, but it is actually under the CTE umbrella. So it's teaching the students careers, but also to find out if that's truly the interest that they have. One of my children actually went through the StarTech program in the nursing program, and after a couple of years of that, she's like, no, I think I'm going to find a different career. How great! She figured that out without paying for college education, for her to realize that wasn't really what her passion was. So just because your child is taking a career and technical education course does not mean that they're not going to go to college, or that we're encouraging them that they won't go to college. But they provide a lot of great hands-on opportunities for our students. A few months ago, UPC was gracious enough to actually have a career in technical education presentation as well, which I think is on the YouTube page. And the experts from the CTE program actually did a phenomenal job of videos and to really explain how the CTE works and what the students would experience by being involved in those programs. Some of the fine art choices are choir, band, orchestra, drawing, painting, photography, ceramics, drama, and intro to art. Each high school offers some different things. And so, it all just depends on the high school with what electives are available. This is a high school transcript. This is a senior. The reason I wanted to show this to you is because this is an official record of high school. This shows exactly what classes this child took, not only in middle school. She took Algebra 1-2. She got an A. I don't know if it's a girl or boy. Sorry. Oh, it's a girl. I see female. So Algebra 1-2. She took those courses. She decided, you know what? I want to keep that on my transcript. And so that is why those Explorer middle grade grades are still on there. But then it also shows that the student took their PE their first year, and what classes they've taken throughout their 4 years of school. You can see halfway through this transcript, the student did take a class through PV Online. As juniors and seniors, our students can, even if they're at a traditional school, they can take one additional class through PV Online to make up credit or to earn additional credit. This student is in 5 courses currently. That's the in-progress courses. 2 of them being AP and 1 being a community college class. Many of our high schools offer dual enrollment. Typically, it doesn't start until the sophomore year, dual enrollment options, and each school kind of offers different dual enrollment options, but it means that the student is attending this school, Pinnacle High School, taking English 102. They have paid tuition to Rio Salado Community College, and at the end of the grading period, this child will have earned their credits through Community College English 101 and the English 7 credit, English 8 credit that's required for graduation. So that's dual enrollment. That's also very exciting. With AP classes, they have to take a test coming up next week. The next 2 weeks will be the in-person testing for AP. And then because of COVID, they are actually, College Board is actually offering a digital test as well. That will be the end of May, beginning of June, that the students can choose whether they wanted to take it in person or digital. But the student could potentially earn college credit by passing their AP tests of the 2 classes that they're currently in. Something else I want you to be aware of is that their GPA is always there. The weighted GPA is for any honors or AP classes that the student has taken. And then the cumulative GPA is the unweighted. This is just by giving every class a 4.0 grade. This would be the student's GPA. The middle percentile is the percentile the student is in their class. So what that means is that there are 78% of the student's class that have a lower weighted GPA than this student, okay? Or you can look at it the other way, that there's 22% of the students are above that 4%, that percentile ranking. We do not have valedictorians or salutatorians like we may have had when we were in school. We have percentiles. That's what colleges are looking for. The top 1%, 5%, 10%, 25%, just depending on what the college is looking for. So they're looking at the top percentiles. Typically, for most colleges, it's the top 25% of the class is provided opportunities. And then it just shows what is remaining for this student to graduate. So because this student is currently in 2.5 classes, this student will actually graduate with more than the 22 required classes. So I just wanted to make sure you saw this and knew what a high school transcript looked like, because I feel like it's important. We can't change a high school transcript. It is a legal document. So that's why everything that goes on here needs to be the best reflection of your child as possible. Another thing that is required for graduation is the civics test. It's the American Civics Test. Your child may have already taken it in middle school. Once they pass it, either in middle school or high school, they no longer have to take it, and it will go on their transcript as a met requirement. They can retake it as many times as necessary, but typically we try to get it done before their senior year, so that's not an obstacle to graduation. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that honors and AP, the weighted versus unweighted. Middle school teachers recommend students to take honors classes. So that's how it's decided in the high school level. However, parents get to make the ultimate decision. And so if you feel like, especially this year, it has been a challenge for the teachers to know, okay, what obstacles have been in that child's way to keep them maybe from being as academically successful as maybe they had been in the past, or they could potentially be. So if you feel like your child should be in an honors course and they were not recommended for it, it is 100% your right to contact the middle school teacher and ask if that could be reconsidered. At the end of the school year, the middle school teachers will say, oops, I made a mistake, and they'll let the high schools know that they would prefer a child to be either in an honors class, or maybe an honors class isn't really appropriate for them with what's happening. But the parents actually get to make that decision. And if you're not getting anywhere with your middle school teacher, you can also reach out to the high school counselor and ask if that's an option. Students that will be taking honors English will have summer reading assignment that will be due in August. The teachers will get the high school teachers will get the rosters of who's in their class, and they will be sending an email with the summer reading assignment. Like I said before, if you disagree with the teacher recommendation, you can contact the teacher counselor at your middle school or even the high school. Typically, the first couple weeks of school, let's just say your child is in Algebra 1, 2, or maybe they're in Honors Geometry 1, 2, just whatever class they're in, a high school teacher will have them engaged right away. And if they feel like that child is going to, struggle in that class, they will reach out and contact you and say, I don't know that this placement is right. At that point, you can make a decision of whether you agree or disagree. Do you want your child to, have that struggle? And sometimes having that struggle is not a bad thing. It's okay if a child is struggling and learning. But if you feel like it's going to be just too overwhelming and stressful and cause them anxiety, then it might be appropriate to change their class within that first couple weeks of school. Honors classes are primarily freshman and sophomore years, and advanced placement AP classes are usually for the juniors and seniors. There are some exceptions to both. And dual enrollment is available at different schools for different subjects. Testing. We have all kinds of testing, just like they do in elementary. They have AZM too. In high school, we have the American Civics test, and that might, once again, be done in the middle school. But if not, then we make sure that they take it until they pass it. The PSAT is offered for sophomores, typically, for the practice for the SAT test. We offer it to juniors for national merit. If they score an exceptional score on the PSAT as a junior, that is what makes them a qualifier for the National Merit Scholarship, which is a huge, very popular scholarship. But either way, the PSAT is practice for the SAT. The SAT is put on by the College Board. It is no longer being offered at our schools, but College Board has multiple locations that they offer it throughout the valley. So depending on where you live, it will find the closest location for the student to take the SAT test. Our district offers the ACT to all of our juniors. This is our junior state test, but it's also a national test that the students can use for scholarships and college admission. A little side note on that is, due to COVID and the challenges with even administering the SAT and the ACT over the past year, most of the colleges have released a lot of the requirements on the SAT and the ACT test results. Students were just not able to take the tests especially last year. So a lot of the colleges have kind of changed their perspective even on enrollment and what to expect for a student to get accepted into their colleges. So it's going to just be important to kind of watch that and monitor it. There's a cost, especially to the SAT, but the ACT is free because our district does that for our state required testing. Most of the colleges don't care if it's the SAT or the ACT. They're very similar at this point. The ACT is a little bit more math and science heavy than the SAT. But that's just some information on those tests. And then the AP is for students that have taken an AP course. Then they take the AP test. And like I said, that is in the beginning of May. And they're going to actually offer a digital version this year, which is at the end of May, beginning of June. And it's something new last year for AP testing because all schools across the nation were closed down. The AP test was actually administered digitally last year. So luckily, College Board did open it up to allow it to be in person or online this year. Navient student, here is one of the best things about high school is that all of the students actually get a subscription to Navient student. This is what all of the high school counselors use to help create the digital portfolio that is required by our state for our educational and career action plan. These are things that we do as counselors each year to make sure our children have understanding and assessments and information they need to figure out what they want to do after high school, to have a plan. It offers multiple intelligence assessments that then gives them career ideas. There's career interest inventories and clusters that will help them also figure out careers that might fit them the best. There's a program called Road Trip Nation that has all these very successful people across the country who do these videos and how they got to their career. What path did they take to get to their career? Very inspiring. I sometimes just sit and watch them because who knew the Starbucks owner he never went to college until much later in his life. You just automatically think, well, somebody that successful has to go to college first. Not necessarily, but what events in his life took him to where he is now. The students can also apply for college. That is where Common App is housed. You can get transcripts sent from Navient student. There's a huge scholarship list. You can apply for scholarships through Navient's. The students have opportunities to set goals and create an awesome resume. Your students will hear a ton about Navient's as soon as they enter 9th grade. And there will be requirements they have to do every single year. And that is actually completing those assignments are things that need to happen before they graduate. And that is our way of ensuring that the students have what they need to be successful adults. How can you help your 9th graders succeed? Stay involved. It's very easy as the students become more independent that, we kind of start checking out. But it's very important to stay involved in high school, even if it seems intimidating. Attend those parent-teacher conferences, email the teachers, have your students email the teachers, but you can also email the teachers, email the counselors if you feel like you want your child to be in more academically rigorous courses, or if you are seeing some things that your child is doing that is concerning you. Make an appointment with your child's counselor. You and your child should kind of plan to meet your child's counselor sometime within that 9th grade year. Talk about what the post-secondary plans are. are you going to, is your goal for your child to definitely have them go to college? Because as counselors, it helps us help your child. If we don't get to know them, if we are not given the opportunity to know the whole family's thought on that, we're only hearing it from your child. And if they say, well, we're not going to college, then, we don't know any better. So the more you can, communicate with your child's counselor, the better it will be. Typically in high school, your child will be with the same counselor all 4 years. We try to keep it that way as close to possible as we can, just because we end up being the people who actually write the recommendations for these college applications. And so when we get to have them for 4 years, we really can build these great relationships with the students and write the best letters of recommendation we possibly can. Have your child get involved in sports clubs and activities, get on Infinite Campus, review grades, missing assignments. Students do need to advocate for themselves, especially in high school, but help them build those positive communication and relationships with the teachers. And continue to think that high school is preparation for college. They might not always be great, especially a ninth grader. They struggle. They struggle. They struggle with organization and time management and study habits. And it's a learning process. Okay, so it's a preparation for college. Each year, as long as they're learning more of those things, and the expectation is that they are becoming more and more self-sufficient each year, you're doing a great job as a parent. Attendance and being engaged in learning is also very important in ninth grade. The most difficult thing with high school is our high school start at 7:30 in the morning. We all know that in adolescence, they need 10 to 12 hours of sleep, and oftentimes going to bed at 8 o'clock is not really an option for them. So, as much as we know about psychology and that this isn't the best for kids, this is what we are expecting from our kids. So it's working on creating the most positive experience for your child, making sure that, they understand the value of sleep so that they can be engaged once they get to school. They might need a nap after school, and especially the ninth graders the first few weeks, because it is that is very difficult. And yeah, I wish I had a magic wand to make that better. I don't. The other thing for middle school, actually for every single grade level, is to prepare digitally for the next year. Organization does not only include making a workspace at home and cleaning out your kid's backpack, and we have to prepare digitally for the next year. Especially we have definitely found that out this year. It's important to organize your email. In middle school and in high school, your child will get a lot of emails from their teachers. You want them to unsubscribe from emails they no longer need. Their PV Learners email stays with them all through high school, all through middle school. So if they don't ever delete emails or unsubscribe to emails that they maybe accidentally signed up for, they're going to be overwhelmed. We want to teach them how to create files and move emails that they want to keep. Delete all emails from the previous year. As they transition into, over this summer, have them delete all of those emails that they no longer need, so that they have a very clean inbox, so that as they start getting all of these emails, they can check, read, and respond. Have them check it a couple times a day. They can delete or take care of, file their emails, because they will have an organized system. Especially online. There are some students that I'm like, well, did you check your email? And they'll be like, oh yeah, but there's like so many emails. I don't know. Well, it's very, very important, especially in high school, to read all of your emails. So make sure you get rid of the things that you don't actually need to read. Organize their Google Drive. A lot of their assignments are actually going to be done through Google Classroom, Google Drive. They need to delete documents they no longer need, create files, make sure to name each document so that it's just not a huge file of unnamed documents. That gets very confusing. It takes time for them to find their assignments, to get them, sent to the teacher in a timely manner. So the more organized they are, the better it is. And then create a school routine and follow it each day. Determine if they need to have it written or digital organization method, and schedule free time. The kids need free time, all of them. Every single one of them needs some time to just be able to do whatever they choose to do. And then also have some time for activities and family time and all the things that are important to you and your family. So here's my final note. Adolescence is a period of rapid changes between, let me say that again. Adolescence is a period of rapid changes. Between the ages of 12 and 17, for example, a parent ages as much as 20 years. And, anyone who has been through it already understands that is all too true. So thank you once again for hanging with me, and, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to.
There are questions, Koni. If you want to, why don't we just stop sharing your screen, and that way we can. Yeah. There you go. I can hopefully read to you several of these questions. You highlighted one of them at the end that kind of tied a few of these questions together, and that has to do with organization. There were parents that asked about the Google Classroom. I think it was surprising this year for many parents that had not dealt with the Google Classroom before, that, the district, of course, went to the Google Classroom because of us going virtual. Are our teachers going to stay with the Google Classroom moving forward?
So that is obviously a teacher decision. I think we have all found the value in Google Classroom. The one thing that is not going to happen next year is there will be no dual modality. The teachers will not have to teach virtually and in person. It's not going to happen. So even before COVID hit, a lot, especially in high school, would use Google Classroom. Sure. That is actually kind of a practice that has been used in the past and successfully. And it's very similar to what is used in college. So it actually does prepare them for some of that, college content and the way colleges are actually teaching at this point. So it's going to be a teacher choice. But I would guess that probably more are going to use it now that they're used to it and they have found the value.
Well, so I'm a parent of a junior in high school and of an 8th grader. So I've been visible to all of these grades except for seniors. So, and I will say that most of the high school teachers prior to COVID did use Google Classroom. A few had their website as their main landing page that they wanted students to go to. But all of them still had things that had to be delivered through Google Classroom. So I think now that they've moved those things over to their Google Classroom, they probably are going to stick with it and not be maintaining 2 different sites. It'd be my guess. Well, I don't know whether I'll re-encounter those teachers or not, but I've got one going in as a freshman, so it's possible. Yeah. One of the other ones was, do middle schoolers provide agendas or planners for students?
I believe that depends on the middle school. Typically, they're often funded. Those agendas or planners are funded by their parent organization. So it kind of depends on how active that parent organization is, or if the school feels a need for it. I think another thing this taught us is how technology actually can take the place of a lot of things that we thought we had to have before. And one of those things, especially in the high school level, is agendas. Sure. The students have learned how to use their Google Calendar to help organize their day. And they have learned how to use, the agendas that are available online as more of a digital option, they are much better at it than even I am. But I have even learned how great some of those tools actually are. And I used to always have my big old calendar, and I found now that I don't need it. I'm much more successful by working through the Google Calendar.
Right. And as from my experience, so in middle school, we did have one teacher in 7th grade that wanted the students to go out. It was one of the items to buy as a part of your school supplies. And they did recommend you get a teacher's agenda planner so that you could have the columns for each of the classes. So I thought that was a little different. Had never seen that before, and it was useful for a while, but again, everything's really kind of gone digital, and that teacher isn't there anymore, so I don't know. I think
well, and it kind of depends also if they're in an AVID school, because AVID schools have different type of organization system, and they have to follow that organization system. So it kind of just depends on the school and the teacher. Of course, the teachers sometimes have expectations.
So someone else asked, is there honors English available in the 7th grade? Or not?
There is. There should be an honors level 7th and 8th grade option.
Just depending on the school, something you have to reach out to your school for the scheduling.
Yes.
Okay. And then Infinite Campus, for those parents that are not aware, Infinite Campus can be an app on your phone. And I highly encourage parents, especially of middle schoolers, because you're trying to get them more independent, but sometimes they don't see when they're late on things, but it will pop up for the parents on our Infinite Campus. So having that line of communication to make sure you say, did you forget to turn in this assignment? And they're like, oh no, I turned it in. I'm like, yeah, I think you forgot to hit send.
Right.
And sure enough, they don't realize they've missed hitting that enter button and loaded it where it's supposed to go. So I highly encourage that for all parents of especially middle schoolers.
And opt in for the updates, the alerts. Yeah. And like during finals week, that your phone will be going off a lot, but you will be updated every time a grade is entered. So it's just a really great way for parents to be actively involved without your student actually knowing that you are constantly watching it.
Exactly. I think I got everybody's questions. If there are any other questions, please feel free to type them in here. Just so you know, Connie, we did add the links both in Facebook and on the Zoom for the CTE presentation on our YouTube and the previous presentation you mentioned that you did, what I wish I'd asked my child's high school counselor. So both of those are posted in both chats. So people have access to that. As Connie referred to, the United Parent Council has a YouTube channel now, and it is PVUPC. You can just type that in and you'll be able to find, we have our own channel, and all of our presentations that we've recorded over, I want to say 4 years now, Connie, and I think you were one of the early ones that we recorded. So there are old presentations. I recommend you watch the newer ones, especially due to COVID and some other things, because there are more up-to-date information there. But we have a lot of different presentations. We're very thankful to have someone with the expertise that you have, Connie, to be able to help guide parents both through middle school and high school, and appreciate that. I don't see any other questions coming up. If there's anything else you'd like to finish with, I'll let you have the last word.
If anyone ever has any questions, my email is Withers, Koni Withers, WITHERS @pvlearners.net. And, I'm happy to answer any questions. Email is definitely easier. Because I can get back to you at any point. But if you have any questions, and if I don't know the answer, I know people. I can get you to the right person if I don't know the answer.
Okay, and actually, I'm not going to give you the last word. I'm sorry about that, but I'm going to promote. We have 2 more events coming up. United Parent Council has an event that you probably will want to share with the folks in your circle. We have May 6th, Thursday evening at 6 p.m. We have 2 of our local pediatric neuropsychologists presenting on, now more than ever, 4 ways to prepare for whatever comes next. So they plan to talk about how do we help our children and help our families to deal with some of those anxieties, I'm sure is what they're going to talk about, not knowing what is happening next. For those of us with kids going both into middle school or high school, those again are anxiety producing moments. The kids don't know the location, they don't know the classes, they don't know the campuses. So a great opportunity for all of these parents to join us. Again, it's Thursday, May 6th. We will record it. The local psychologists are Dr. Laura Wingers and Dr. Allison Reuter, who are both here in the Scottsdale area. And they've presented before for us, and they're on our YouTube channel as well from other presentations. And then finally, our final presentation for United Parent Council is our May 12th business meeting and presentation, which is always called the closing bell by our superintendent. This year, we'll be joined both by Dr. Lee, who's been the acting superintendent, and Dr. Troy Bales, our incoming superintendent. So that will be a very interesting hour-long program. I hope you can join us. Our meeting starts at 9. The presentation should start at 9:30-ish, depending on how long our meeting goes, and usually runs about an hour. So we hope you'll come join us for that. And again, thank you very much, Connie. I'm seeing on Facebook these posts for thank you. So really great to have that. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.